Sun Double. My name is Mita Williams. I'm at the University of Windsor. And I'm here to present work that's largely done by art. So if you have any, well, it's called Jamun. And we're Jamun, and we hope you like Jamun too. And this talk, unfortunately, doesn't really build too much on Dan's talk. It will eventually build on, I think, hopefully, some of the conversations we've already had about APIs and web services. But we're going to introduce the concept of the discovery layer very briefly. Can I just have a quick show of hands, or actually, quick show of hands of like how many people know what a discovery layer is in a library context? So by and large, there seems to be a general understanding of what a discovery layer is, so I won't go into that. When these slides go up, this is a link. It's the it's the Library Discovery Layer Search Committee. It's quite amusing. I won't play it. It's very amusing. The link will go up. Look at it in your own time. So before we talk about discovery layers, I just want to talk about what are the problems that we're trying to solve with the discovery layer. There are a number of commercial products. There's a number of non-commercial products out there. And they're the solution to what? And what do we have in libraries and museums and archives? We have a lot of siloed content. We have journal articles, we have books, we have ebooks, we have some digital content, we have maps, some of it's digitized, some of it's not, silos. How do we bring all that content together so that a person doesn't have to search 20 places? There's also a desire to surface more content and more content types. Anecdotally, I've spoken with a number of people who are in other libraries, and they're looking at discovery layers, and they say, oh, you know, my director really wants a discovery layer because it's surfacing more content that we haven't seen before. There may be an interest in ebooks. You know, this is a great way to bring up ebooks. And then it provides the kind of, you know, there's also a general understanding that a discovery layer provides a Google-like search, like Google Scholar, but without having to be Google. It just costs a lot. Okay, so what are the problems that come with discovery layers? Discovery layers are really, it's a very complex problem. How do you bring all this sort of siloed content together? What is a full text of an ebook? If you do a search against it, what's the value of a full, you know, a chapter in a particular book versus an article versus the title of a book versus a subject heading of a book versus articles versus maps? How do you bring all that sort of disparate content together in a kind of meaningful way for one search? Local content. A lot of these commercial services right now, they deal with a sort of large indexed set of material. But what if you want to highlight local material that's really important to your community, but isn't necessarily as important for other communities? How do you surface that content? Proprietary content, there's a little turf wars about who gets to have access to this particular journal, and if the only way you get access to this index is by paying this vendor, you won't talk to this vendor. How do we deal with that? We have to deal with the fact that users usually have to come to the library website. They have to incorporate going to the library website in their own workflow. So the discovery layer is, yes, it's one, instead of 20 silos, it's one silo, but they have to our silo. Discipline-specific approaches are lost. So by having one large interface, who are we designing it for? Are we designing it for graduate students, undergraduates, science people, humanities people, musicians, music therapists? By and large, most of those discipline approaches are lost. I think there's one exception, the Blacklight. Blacklight is an open source discovery layer where they're trying to deal with that sort of multifaceted approach, but searching the same body of content. And this is probably, this is my own personal opinion. I think we're also in danger of outsourcing our digital library by going to commercial vendors to deal with this sort of problem, which we really should, I think, own. This is just an aside. Again, I'm assuming these the PowerPoints will be preserved, but I really make if you look through, actually Bill Denton and you spoke with Adam last year at Access. Made a really great case of looking at discovery layers from 2 points of view, and I think we can't lose the point of view of what are the students, what is this, what's the pedagogical reason, what's the what are we trying to teach? What are we trying to expose? And Barbara Pfister, there's some links here, Barbara Pfister and Gloria Leckie and a number of researchers have done some really great work saying, look, this isn't the problem of our students. Throwing 10,000 more titles, 100,000 more titles, more articles, won't solve the problem. It's not solving the problem. And already, and this is from a study from like 2008, only 4% of their titles was taking, was responsible for half the downloads, and this is like 14 institutions. So, we're buying a lot of things, we're providing access to things that we aren't using anyway. When you think of your own search, it's in your own search results, how often do you go past the third page of results, the second page of results? How many times do you only just look at the first page of results? Is it really important that there's 20, 30, 40, 400 pages after that? I'm not sure. Okay, enough. What does Jamun do? What does Jamun do about it? What is Jamun? It's a presentation scheme. It makes use of some novel indexing, and it brings forward local library content and customized coverage. Share my time. Okay. It's based on the usability work, and unfortunately it is kind of washed out here, but there is a link here, and it says it is based on great usability work done by the library team of NCSU. They did a lot of, this is it too late? Can you see that? All right, it is our unit. And there's GitHub, there's a link to GitHub. Shout out to GitHub. So this is a link to the NCSU's weblog where they outline all the usability work that they've done. If I had more time, I'll show you their interface, but I'll just show you ours. It's called Jamun. I thought to look it up ahead of time. It is on GitHub. Oh, I don't even know what default browser this is. It is IE. It's not my laptop. I was not consulted. Let's see if I can grab it elsewhere. No, it's all right, let's go. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. A lot of this work is being archived, talked about at the Letty by Design weblog, which you can get to by searching Google. Art goes into some more detail about what I'm talking about here. Here we go, here's Jamun. Hooray! Jamun, just another modified Uber notion. Art has 3 sons. One of them is in university. One of them had an assignment on the Roman diet. Just so that you're aware. Jamun, in our example, makes use of a Google's custom search engine. And these are just the small subset of titles that are in this particular Google custom search engine. So it's a presentation scheme. So we do one search, and magically, there's some rearranging. This should fit on a page. So what is this? It's keeping siloed information in silos. So it's turning a problem into a solution. Or a solution will roll back into a solution. The first pane is from our Google search engine, that list of titles. It makes use of the Google search engine, and because of that, there's an API. It's not using Google Scholar, it's using Google Custom Search Engine because you can use an API. So these links already have easy proxy links already put in. So they're already there, so we don't have to worry about that. Those links are injected. We can do all sorts of other fancy things. Second is Project Conifer. It's from our library catalog. It's searching, I believe, a solar index. It's not searching it live. This third pane I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about. This is an inside the book. This is making use of the Google Bookshelf function. What Art did, I'll talk about a little bit what Art did later on, but this is access to our print collection. How do you get access to that print, that really great chapter of the book that deals with the Italian way, food and life? And now you're 2 clicks away. I don't know if you work with the reference desk as I do, but having our library catalog has links to Google Book Preview, and it's a really great kind of test. You tell students, okay, your book, there's a great book that you want. It's probably on the 3rd floor, or probably a great book. It's on the 3rd floor. And you can just see that hesitation in their eyes, and you say, okay, look, trust me. And you go into Google Books, and you can see, oh, they can look through the table of contents, they can look through the pages. Now they have, okay, now it's worth the effort to go up with these things. Very important. It could really highlight, I think, some great print collection that may not necessarily be available otherwise. Down below, what do we have here? Scholars Portal. We make use of Scholars Portal API. We can use the Canadian API. We have the Scholars Portal book, their API, and we also use, I believe, our own WinSpace, so our thesis. That's really important. What is a thesis collection? Thesis collection is like all the research that your institution has been doing, and it comes with a full chapter of literature reviews on that topic. So most likely your students could be following those sort of subjects. What a great resource. Why isn't that front and center, on your discovery there? So let's get back. All right. So what is it made out of? It's made out of Apache Tomcat, Solr. We will link it eventually to Drupal 7. In fact, our Drupal CSS person and Art are going to be hanging out on Saturday for a science rendezvous, and I'm hoping if things are quiet, they'll work on it and solve that problem. And we have to make it pretty. I mean, Art and myself, and it's really important to make it obviously visible, readable on a screen, understandable. Usability is really, really important. That's something admittedly we have to work on. But that was a proof of concept. We're at the proof of concept stage, and I think proof of concept. So this is what Art did. Art added 100,000 ISBNs from our library catalog. Put into Google search, that matched up to about 60,000 books. And we could add Library of Congress numbers in there as well. We're still waiting from Google to figure out whether that's okay. So if they say no, we're in trouble. But for the time, they might say yes. They might find that this is a novel news for the Google Bookshelf. That was the point that I mentioned before. And this is on GitHub as well. The mechanism of how Art did that. So Google Custom Search Engine. Right now it's free. You can make, and there's, I know Krista did a shout out, you were looking for other people who use instances of Google Custom Search Engines in library websites. That was some months ago on Twitter, right? Yeah, there's a number of cases where people use it to provide custom search engines. Okay, you're interested in, art therapy. Here's some great websites. Here's some great journals. Here's a customized, list of materials. Search it. Why aren't we creating our own indexing? There we go. The other thing that we noticed too was that because in our small subset of our CSE, we use Nature and Science. And Nature and Science have some fabulous web resources. They're not formally journals, but because they're part of science advocacy, they have a great collection of just the climate change articles that they have on their webpage are really wonderful. They're great undergraduate resources. How do you surface web content that's not technically a journal, but still quite reputable? And I think most importantly, it allows us to ask the question, what do we want to index? Do we want to provide an index of 20 journals, 200 journals, Canadian journals, English, foreign language, only the ones that are in our library? Only the ones that, what would we want to do ideally? And it's an interesting question as myself, I'm not even sure the answers yet. But it's a good way for me to just start thinking about how can we reimagine the services we provide? What if we had faculty create their own custom search engines for their students? Which comes at the point of, not Google. I mean, there are a number of libraries that put Google Scholar on their front pages of their library website. I would be perfectly happy to do that in our institution. There's a lot of reticence to make use of Google Scholar for a whole host of reasons. But we could use the Yahoo custom search engine called Boss. There's some rumors that Microsoft is going to re-release their academic search with possibly an API. And I also have a link. Unfortunately, again, it's washed out. But it's someone looked out and said, okay, well, what about custom indexing? Maybe I could use Mathematica and I could start spidering my own collection, putting it in Google Refine. Just crazy ideas. I don't know where I got them from. Okay. I think the most important thing that I'd like to make the case is that discovery layers need space for innovation. We tend, my personal opinion is, within librarianship, we tend to close in on technologies too soon. I would make the case that maybe DSpace would fall into that, maybe Overdrive. I mean, it wasn't very long ago before all public libraries are now kind of converging on this only one solution with ebooks, ebook lending. That was really quick. Maybe there's other rooms for innovation. I think the same case you could make for discovery layers. We need to have kind of an ecosystem of possibilities that may succeed or may fail. All buying one commercial product across the nation doesn't lend to that sort of degree of innovation. So I'm really happy to see alternatives like Blacklight, Viewformat, and maybe Jamun is another one. I was trying to think of other development space. One of the things I'm just obsessed about, unfortunately, are course reading lists. I think this is this most amazing resource that we collect year after year after year, and then we throw them out. This is hand-picked material from faculty saying, in order to understand this field, I have selected these great readings. And we collect them, we put them in the library, and then we throw them out. Imagine if we had a search engine of, over time, the course material for your own institution, and you added it for all the other institutions. Art and Graham Fawcett have developed a course management, or sort of course reading, I'm thinking my course management, course reserve software called Syrup. We're collecting this sort of material, which is sort of later on. I mean, that would be a great database of great indexes that would be collected over time. Can you guess the slide that Art wrote? I'm not quite sure what this means. I thought I'd move on.
Ooh.
But this is an idea. I know that I was not the first person to suggest the idea of zero conf as a possibility of possible discovery space where people can, your iTunes of research, you just kind of log in and check the network and see what's there. We all have to deal with budget cuts across the board. Personally, I would like to invest more in open source software than licensing software that we have to redo every year.
Hear, hear.
Thank you. I got to hear here. Thank you.
Questions?
Actually, this is just a comment. You probably already know this, Mita, but Dan Cohen released the syllabus finder data as an open data set for anyone who does want to build a course or like a reading recommender from, I think it's like 500,000 syllabi or something.
Yeah, so he ran his own web crawler.
Yeah.
And so Dan Cohen ran his own web crawler and collected his syllabi for history. And then released the data. And then within a day or two, other people were finding interesting information, like how many people use Comic Sans as a font. But he also was able to produce this is what's being taught on campus. And as a collections librarian, I do a little collections work. I went through that list. I said, okay, what do we have? What don't we have? Well, if we're going to have one textbook on American history, maybe we should have this one. It just really informs the work we